Hello and welcome to another weekend of Championship predictions from the Honest Football Podcast. I'm Craig Savage, and with me as always is Daniel Cody and Charlie Betts. Let's have a quick recap of our Easter Monday and Tuesday results. Only one correct prediction out of all three of us, which was mine for Bournemouth, 2-0 at Blackburn. But as you can see, there's more green under Charlie. He got 7 points compared to me and Cody's 5. So the table looks like this. I'm on 297 with 52 perfect scores. Daniel Cody is on 280 with 46 perfect scores. And Charlie Betts is on 249 with 34 perfect scores. But let's start off with a team who are currently in second place. They are Watford. They are home to Reading. Watford didn't particularly play well in the second half against Middlesbrough, but considering the other results, it was a good result, Cody.
It was. They were perhaps slightly fortunate with their goal, but it was a decent performance. And in the end, it's going to prove to be a good point because with what's happening at Swansea and Brentford, I think they're going to be second easily. So I think no problems for Watford. A good win for Reading. They needed that to secure their playoff place, and it looks like they're going to get there now. So I'm going to go for Watford to nick it, but it's going to be scrappy. I'm going to go for 2-1 to Watford.
Charlie?
Yeah, I think you have to back Watford at home. Their home form is, especially recently under Xisco, but in general, just been scintillating. And I'm going to go for a clean sheet. They're 55% is the joint highest in the league for home clean sheets. So as good as Reading can be going forward, I think if there's any team in the league at the minute on current form and can shut them out, it probably is Watford. So I can see where Dan's going, but I'm going to take one off of that. I'm going to go 2-0 to Watford. No goals for Reading, clean sheet.
I'm going to go for more goals and Reading, good result against Derby, needed that off, and I'm happy that Lucas Giles scored as well, considering what he did on Friday. But I'm going to go for a bold start in this weekend. I'm going to go for Watford to win 3-2. Right, Saturday, first game. It is Millwall versus Swansea. Charlie, Swansea have just collapsed. I can't explain what's gone on.
No, I don't know. They've done a Brentford last year, 1 win in the last 5, and they're against this. I don't want to say the word. When I say sneaky Millwall, I mean as in they're just sneaking. They're creeping up the table. They're only 6 points off of the playoffs, and there are teams who are slowly going in and out of form. They've only lost 1 in the last 5, Millwall. So I don't know. I think I have to back Millwall on this. As for what's going on at Swansea, it has to be a mentality thing. They've got more than good enough players there, and for 2/3 of the season, they were pretty much faultless, to be honest. Admittedly, maybe rode their luck a few times, but generally, particularly at home, were fantastic. So, but Millwall don't create a lot of chances, but they do score what they put away. So I'm going to go for a sneak 1-0 win, and I think Millwall might just be an outside bet for being in around the playoffs.
Okay.
Charlie's nicked my score, to be brutally honest. I mean, Millwall have won 3 of their last 4 by 1-0. Swansea have lost their last 3 by 1-0. So the safe score would be 1-0 to Millwall, but nobody's expecting anything of Swansea now. The pressure's off. They've already lost their chance at the top 2 because Watford will have wrapped that up. And after 4 blanks in a row, Swansea are going to come flying out the traps. They're going to go back to the law. Swansea are going to win 2-0.
And I'm going to have to go in the middle, to be honest. I'm not sure about this game. I think Millwall, as Charlie said, they can spoil the party. I think they're going to spoil the party again. Swansea need to break something just to get out of this run of 4 straight defeats. They need to score a goal. That would be a good start. It's a long time since they scored. I do think they're going to score this game. But I'm going to go Championship's favourite scoreline of 1-1. Right, up next at Oakwell, it is Barnsley versus Middlesbrough. Cody, Luton game, they played on Monday. You were very impressed with DK up top.
He's got to be a contender. I genuinely mean this in January for one of the signings of the season. The difference he's made to that team going forward. I mean, they've done well under Ishmael. They've been good defensively at home. But on the break, he's given them a new lease of life. On the counter, they weren't creating great chances. They were playing into the channels. And DK was just frightening the life out of defenders. And it wasn't even pace. It was close ball control. It was excellent technically. And his finishing, he's a good player. He's going to be some player. I really hope they can keep hold of him as well. But Barnsley were thoroughly deserved winners in that game. I was impressed with them. I think they're going to be right in there in a playoff contention. But Middlesbrough love to scrap a result, a good point against Watford, and they actually played quite well. So against my better judgment, I'm going to go for a draw. And I think it's going to be a thrilling game. I'm going to go for 2 apiece.
I'm quite glad you said it'd be 2 apiece because I'm going to go for 1 apiece because To be fair to Barnsley, they were pretty good until my internet decided to cut out and missed the rest of the second half against Luton. Middlesbrough, yeah, very worth their point. But yeah, I was really impressed with DK. I was last year. That first goal was a very good first touch, and he struck it very well. But yeah, Barnsley just look a bit more aggressive. I don't know what you thought about it, but I thought they were aggressive. So I'm going to go for 1-1. Neil will try to score, like just try and sharp shot for a little bit and hit on the counter. So I think that will happen. So 1-1. Charlie.
I'm going to put my neck on the line. Barnsley win. And the main turning point for me is that Borough away from home. And Borough away from home, negative goal difference, really, can't keep a clean sheet to save their lives. It's hard because it actually, as Warnock proved, though, against Watford, if a team comes and attacks them, maybe he's better suited in that he sets up a team better for that. And they might sneak a draw, which is where you two are coming from. But I think Barnsley might win. And when Middlesbrough collapsed away from home, they've collapsed fairly big. So probably against my better judgment, I'm going to go for 3-0 to Barnsley.
Right, up next at St Andrews, it is Birmingham City versus Stoke. Charlie, Lee Bowyer special or Michael O'Neill special? Because Lee Bowyer got a very good point away at Brentford.
I think Stoke now have gone on holiday. We've sort of questioned some of the players' attitudes at the best of times, and I think now that they've got nothing to play for, it's going to be even more. So I think I have to back a Birmingham win. I think there's other teams down there that will not want them to be playing Stoke, who, as I've just alluded to, have got not much to play for. Birmingham have been stronger at home under Bowyer, won the last two, so I have to back them. And Stoke do shit goals. I mean, I think we're getting near the territory towards the end of the season where there's going to be a lot more goals in games because teams either have to come out and attack depending on where they are in the league. And that's what I'm going for in this one. 3-1 to Birmingham.
Cody?
I really don't know, mate, to be honest, because this game could be literally anything. Birmingham haven't scored many since Bowyer came in, albeit some decent results. And Stoke, just as we thought they were picking up form, they might make a late push. It was a pretty feeble performance against Millwall. So you have to back Birmingham because, as Charlie says, they've got so much more to play for. You just feel like they're going to be the ones that have really got to take the ascendancy in the game. And a bit like Swansea, I can see it being one of those where they just get a goal and probably play a bit more cautiously. So I'm going to go for 1-0 to Birmingham because, let's say, Stoke aren't the greatest in front of goal anyway.
I don't think this will be a game for the purists. Quite a few here. I don't think it'll be a game for the purists this week, unfortunately. But this is definitely going to be one of them. Birmingham just need to pick up points somewhere. Obviously, relying on Rotherham not picking up points. Rotherham got a crucial game. We'll get onto them in a bit. But I think Lebo will continue his unbeaten home form at the moment. I'm going to go for Championship player scoreline 1-1. I really don't see anything in this game. Up next, it is Bournemouth versus Coventry. Cody, you didn't think, where Coventry were going to score, but they've scored 3 times.
I mean, let's be fair, Craig. There is nobody in the country who had Coventry to score 3 goals in that game. I'm sorry. Nobody had that. However, you've got to give it to them. They did. One of the people in the comments said, Matt Godden, is back, and it'll make a difference. I know it was only a penalty, but he did get the goal. But Bournemouth are an interesting one. They're probably not the side Coventry wanted to face now because Bournemouth obviously hot on the tails of the playoffs. And I think one of the things we probably ignore from the poor Brentford and Swansea form is Bournemouth are only 5 points off third with the same number of games played. So it could actually be chasing third and really looking to get a favourable playoff draw for Bournemouth. I think they're going to win this game. I still think Coventry are in trouble because you can't draw 3 blanks in a row and suddenly have fixed all your attacking problems. I think it's a one-off, so I'm going to go for 3-0 to Bournemouth this time.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as you, to be honest. Yeah, great result for Coventry against Bristol City. Bournemouth, obviously beating a very poor Blackburn at the moment, keeping that momentum up. It's good. It's still around the playoffs. I think they'll win this game, Bournemouth, to be honest. I'm going to go for 2-0 instead. Charlie.
I think this is the make or break for Jonathan Woodgate in the sense of whether we really value him as a good manager. And the reason I say that is yes, he's picked up wins. This weekend, he's playing against a team where there's so much on the line for them. And can he tactically, because, Coventry, I know we spoke about whatever we said about them. They had a lot less possession on Monday and won the game. You'd like to think Bournemouth are probably going to have more of the ball. Is how does Woodgate cope with that? Because I think actually his strength has been hitting teams on the counter. It has been about actually giving away a bit of possession. So how does he cope when impetus and the sort of spotlight is a bit more on his team to attack? So I think they'll still win, but I think they'll sneak a 1-0 win for Bournemouth.
Right, next up, Bristol City versus Nottingham Forest. Charlie, you kept the faith in Nottingham Forest winning, and they've taken their chances, and they also scored 3 goals.
I should have backed them all because obviously said about, I think they beat QPR because I think QPR are going to come and play, and Nottingham Forest are probably one of the better teams now at, hitting teams in the counter. QPR had 60% possession, and Forest come out as winners. And I know I keep nicking Dan's stat, but it's obviously some value in it. 40% possession, 20 shots Forest had at the weekend. So there's got to be something to be said for that. I don't want to go on about Bristol City, and it's not an I told you so, but I did say in the manager special, I wasn't completely convinced. And it's you might end up doing well, but I did think they'd finish mid-table. I think they'd peter out. And I think that's sort of happened now, really. So I think I'll probably have to go for another Forest win. I can't see them put another 3 past another team, though, because I don't think Bristol City will come out as much as QPR. But I think Forest, I'm going to go, it's an old favourite of mine, 1-0.
I agree. I don't see much in Bristol City. I think it's a very good win for Forest against QPR. That's a really good positive step. Hopefully they can build on that. I don't think they're going to get 3 this time. I'm going to go for 1 less. I'm going to go 2-0 to Nottingham Forest. Cody.
Well, I'll stick my neck on the line, and I think they are going to get 3 because Bristol City at home are yet to get a point under Nigel Pearson and have conceded 2 or more in all of them. They had more possession against Coventry and were hit on the counter, which, as Charlie says, Nottingham Forest will love to do. And if we look at that QPR game, probably the most important thing is even Lewis Grabban got a goal. And last season, if you'd been saying that statement, you would have thought, what on earth are you on about? But he's finally back in form, and Lewis Grabban is going to be amongst the goals. So I'm banking on him to get at least 2 of them, and it's going to be a 3-1 win for Nottingham Forest.
Up next at the Cardiff City Stadium, it is Cardiff versus Blackburn. Charlie, what the hell happened to Mick McCarthy and Cardiff City?
I don't understand it, to be honest. So I'm Mick McCarthy. I can only assume a manager of his experience and his background will not let a performance like that go again. That's probably their one. So I think Cardiff, although haven't been in the best of form, I think might still have too much. And as I say, Mick McCarthy might put a rocket on their backsides because they've still got a little bit to play for. So I'm going to go for a Cardiff win, and maybe they'll bounce back with a 4-1 win.
I was going to predict 4-1, to be fair, but I'll let you have it. But I'm just going to go back to what you just said there about is one off. You can't have a 5-0 defeat against that team who were at that time were bottom of the championship. You don't have you can't write off a 5-0 defeat against a team who's currently bottom of the table. That's a mind blowing. But that is the championship for you. So Charlie's gone for 4-1 Cardiff. I do think Cardiff will bounce back. Yeah, I'm going 3-0 Cardiff. I think they'll bounce back. Blackburn have just been utterly hopeless. Armstrong missed a penalty as well. His confidence is shot as well. Obviously, lost Bradley Dack to injury. They've completely gone backwards, Blackburn. And yeah, 3-0 Cardiff. Cody.
Well, I think, again, Blackburn are probably going to struggle for a goal. They've only scored 2 in the last 6. And ironically, they were against Norwich and Swansea. But Cardiff, I think we've got to go for a clean sweep. They've got to bounce back. I don't think, like you, it's going to be a free-flowing performance. I don't think it's going to be a comfortable win. I think they're going to scrap a classic 1-0. I don't think there's going to be any more to it.
Right, up next at Pride Park, Derby County, who've just been taken over. Mel Morris is finally gone. They're playing Norwich, who obviously scored 7. But Cody, Derby, you think they're back out of it because they got that win against Luton, but they're back in it again with that defeat to Reading.
Yeah, I wouldn't write them as out of it yet. I mean, I'm saying Coventry and Huddersfield are still in it, and they're with a game in hand on level points and a point behind. So I've got to say Derby are in it. 43 points isn't going to be enough. And they are coming up against the Norwich side, who I think it would be fair to say have refound their form in front of goal with a 7-0 win against Huddersfield.
Just a bit.
Just a bit. Because, I mean, some of the football there was scintillating. And I was starting to doubt Norwich might not win the league. But let's be fair, they're going to win it now. Norwich was scintillating. Derby have been poor. They've struggled at home a lot of the season. I mean, it's the sort of game where the championship can bite you on the backside, but you can't predict it. It's 3-1 Norwich for me.
Charlie?
Yeah, I largely agree with what Dan's saying. I'm not entirely sure where the Derby goal is going to come from. At home, they struggle for goals anyway against one of the better defences in the league, or if not the best in the league. I really don't know where that goal's going to come from. And it's now a case of predicting how many Norwich can score at the other end. 4-0 Norwich. I think they'll put another pasting in. I'm
going to go in the middle between you two. I'm going to go 3-0 to Norwich. That Norwich performance against Huddersfield was coming. Even though I had a little dig and say they've been on the beach, well, they certainly proved me wrong on Tuesday night. Derby, as you rightly said, they're not out of it yet. It's going to go right down to the wire, in my opinion. Just need the next 2 teams to pick up points, and that is going to be Huddersfield versus Rotherham. These 2 teams, Charlie, both had heavy defeats. It's a big game down at the bottom of the championship. It is also Yorkshire Derby.
It's massive. This is the hardest one to predict, and not because of where they are in the league, but just because of those results at the weekend. Because up to that point, actually, Huddersfield at home, they're unbeaten in the last 4. I know that game at the weekend was away, but it's the confidence and the momentum that's been probably sucked out of them from that result. I mean, it's so hard to come off the back of that. And then Rotherham, just when you think they really needed to, teams around them have got a result, like we mentioned Wednesday and stuff like that. And then they sort of falter. So I honestly don't know. I think I'm going to have to go for both teams to leak goals. Barnsley and draw, 3-3.
I've been saying for weeks, Rotherham to win, just to make the other four squirm in their seats. And that's going to happen on Saturday. I do think Rotherham will need to bounce back. They need something. Huddersfield would be on dire confidence because that was brutal. And yeah, I'm going to go 2-1 to Rotherham. I think they'll do it in this game. This will be the game. This will be the game. What Wycombe, this is going to be the game. Cody.
I don't know. It's very easy to forget. And I know they lost 7-0. They were 5 unbeaten before that. You've got to bear that in mind. But Rotherham, are like Craig says, they have to win. I've got to go back to my pre-season prediction, which was I had Huddersfield to go down. They're sliding at the most inopportune time. So I have to go for a Rotherham win if I truly believe that. Do you know what? After all of the goals they've conceded, 10 between them in midweek, it's going to be 1-0 Rotherham.
Up next at Deepdale, it is Preston North End versus Brentford. I tell you what, Charlie, Alex Neil gone. Preston have been superb.
They have, yeah. One and win and a draw in the last two against, one against Norwich particularly. That we did say that could be a platform to give them a bit of a boost. The shame is really they've got nothing to play for now. You know, they're never going to make the playoffs and obviously not going to get relegated. But Brentford away from home, I'm still not convinced. They're second in the form table, but in terms of recent form away from home, it's not been the form of a team you'd expect to get promoted automatically. So everything about me is going for a 0-0 draw because I just think Preston might just set up to spoil the party and just go there, not go obviously at home, and just they don't need to come out, they don't need to attack. There's nothing on the line for them. So it could go one of two ways. They completely flagrantly just forget their back four, or as I think they will, and the caretaker seems to have done a good job of that so far. He's shored up that back line of theirs. So probably against my better judgment because Ivan Toney will probably play. I'm going to go for no goals, 0-0.
Cody?
Well, I agree. It's going to be a draw. You've got to go. I said it against Birmingham. I've got to go for a Brentford draw because they've drawn 3 in a row. They've now drawn 4 in a row. So you've got to go for it. The thing that does worry me, and I mentioned it with Swansea a little while ago, is Brentford could drop out the playoffs. They're only 5 points clear of Bournemouth. They've got to look over their shoulder now. From looking up at Watford, they're both now looking behind them. So this is a bigger game for Brentford than it is for Preston. And generally, when the pressure's been on Brentford, we've not seen the best of them. So I'm going to predict the same again, but I think there will be a couple of goals. I'm going to go for the Championship's favourite scoreline, 1 apiece.
I'm just quickly looking at the table here. Brentford have drawn 13 games. That is far too many if you really want to be promoted. And I think they'll stop the rot. It's not going to be pretty. They need to be ugly. 1-0 Brentford. Okay, up next, it is Queen's Park Rangers versus Sheffield Wednesday. Cody, obviously, I said what the hell happened to Cardiff, but what a performance by Sheffield Wednesday. The right time to get that sort of result, considering you think about goal difference as well.
Absolutely. And I said in the manager special, Charlie was there, that on the final day, he'll keep them up in dramatic fashion. And my word, is that a statement of intent. Darren Moore, it doesn't matter whether he's there in person, he's there in presence. And that performance was unbelievable. QPR, as Charlie mentioned earlier, are one of those sides who are susceptible to going on holiday early. It worked in our favour last year as Luton fans, but this year, it's going to work in Sheffield Wednesday's favour. I really think they're going to go on a roll now. I know he didn't keep West Brom up in the Premier League, but he had a similar run there when he got them going at the start. So I'm going to go for a big win again. I'm going to go for 3-1.
I think it's one of those where there was a complete one-off fantastic performance by Sheffield Wednesday because they, for 38 other games, they would not been great. But you have to give them credit. It was superb. Caught Cardiff out on a very cold day. So QPR, Charlie Austin's just been charged by the EFL for violent conduct, so I doubt he'll be playing for this game. The goals would dry up there. The goals would dry up anyway. They got one at the very last second of the game. So I'm going to go for Championship favourite scoreline 1-1. Charlie?
I don't think there'll be a clean sheet for either side because Wednesday have had 10% clean sheets away from home all season, admittedly not under Darren Moore. What I would say is encouraging for Wednesday is the last 2 games, really when Darren Moore's finally got his feet under the table, was a 2-1 win against Barnsley, no one gave him any hope for, and a narrow loss to Watford, who Watford at home we said have been, scintillating recently. So actually the away form is on paper looks not great, but I would say there's a lot of some green shoots there. It's quite encouraging. So I think I have to back a Wednesday win. I'm either going for 2-1 or 4-1. And I don't know which one to go for. I can't. Can it be 4? I'm going to do it. 4-1 Wednesday. Come on, Darren Moore. The revolution begins.
And the final game at Adams Park, it's a bit of a butt-beds derby. It is Wycombe Wanderers versus Luton Town. Cody, Wycombe Wanderers, a brilliant win against Rotherham. They can still potentially get out of this.
Yeah, and 10 points in the last 5 games has got them back in it. I know this seems weird because a week ago, even, you probably wouldn't have said it. I can't see anything but a Wycombe win. I really can't. I think they've got so much to play for. Luton, you saw at the weekend, particularly in Monday's game, they were experimenting a little, giving Sam Nombe a chance to see whether they wanted to sign him in the summer. There were a couple of other players coming in, and obviously we're still very short defensively. Tom Lockyer's confirmed out for the season now. I don't think Luton are going to be at their best. They've had a brilliant season regardless, and I'm very happy that we're a mid-table club who hasn't got to worry. But I think Wycombe are going to nick it. We've always struggled a little bit performance-wise away at Wycombe anyway. So 2-1 to Wycombe, and my word, if Sheffield Wednesday and Wycombe both stay up, what a finish to the season this could be.
Charlie.
Yeah, I have to agree with Dan, really, especially because Luton away from home. I think if Luton had been at home, then might have been a better case for a draw, better argument for a draw there. But Luton away from home just haven't been really that convincing. I just don't see where the goals going to come from, particularly, like say, if he's experimenting, might even throw a few of the younger players in or fringe players. So I think it will come down to a set piece or something like that. So I'm going to go for a 1-0 Wycombe win. But the momentum seems to be a Gareth Ainsworth at the minute. And what a time to get it, really. If you're going to, in a relegation scrap, if you're going to try and hit form, it has to be now. And that's what he's done. So 1-0, maybe a set piece, knockdown, 6-yard box, smashed in, something like that.
I'm going to go for the same scoreline as you, Charlie, but the opposite way. Classic, 1-0 Luton. Because I think the performances need to improve. I know players are out, certain players are out, but we didn't really look like scoring on Monday against Barnsley. But yeah, obviously, if you play your main striker, this is what happens. He's going to score. And James Collins did that. So if you give him an Adebayo a chance up top against Wycombe, I think it'd be perfect then for them to. Some of the goals because they haven't been great, but obviously Sleeper's penalty save was great. So I may forget the goal. Forget the mistake for the goal. The penalty save was great. But yeah, I'm going to go 1-0 Luton. I think it's a classic 1-0 Luton. And that'll be more than what they had last season. And let's have a quick recap of what we just predicted on. I've gone a convincing 3-0 wins for Cardiff and Norwich, who are playing Blackburn and Derby respectively. Charlie has gone for 2 4-1s for Cardiff and for Sheffield Wednesday. And Daniel Cody has got a convincing Bournemouth 3-0 win against Coventry. He still has no faith in them. And those are our predictions for Matchday 41. Do you agree with us or disagree with us? Let us know in the comment section down there. And give us your predictions for this weekend's action. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the Honest Football Podcast, and you can follow us on Twitter at Honest Football 3. And we will see you next time.